Welcome to the Daily Insider here on Vegas Insider. I am Kevin Rogers, and today is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022, 2/22/22. So we got some changes at Vegas Insider on the site. We'll show them to you in just a second. Stephanie Otey will join us as well coming up in just a moment. But before we get to all of that, I want to tell you about Sports Illustrated and their sportsbook, sisportsbook.com. And it is legal right now only in Colorado. You can get up to $300 in free bets. Make a bet of $10 or more and receive a $10 free bet up to 30 times. Now, again, this is for new customers only in the state of Colorado. So I want to put that out there. It must be 21 years or older to bet as well. Promo code is ROAD300 and full terms and conditions apply. That is the Sports Illustrated Sportsbook, and you can find them online at sisportsbook.com. All right, let's bring her in. It's Stephanie Otey. And Stephanie, it's good to see you again, as always. And now it's not about when you wake up this morning. It's more of like 9:15 or so today. Vegas Insider, we rolled out our new design, so it looks good. So let's show the people, shall we? If they have not seen it, let's bring it on.
This is a long time coming. The new site. It's finally live.
And you know what, too? It's kind of get people behind the scenes. This didn't just happen yesterday. Like, this wasn't like, oh, we just had this has been going for a while. And you got to, do you watch those shows, those like house shows that they have to tear down the house and make it all new and all that? Like, this is kind of what it takes time. It's not like 5 minutes,
Yeah, it's like flipping a house, that kind of thing. But they can't have a house sit on the market too long. So they have a lot of high pressure. We at least were able to take the time to get it right. So we were, So we didn't want to launch it till it looked perfect. So I'm happy with the way it looks. Very easy to use. It's it looks the same everywhere else. Like when you go to our YouTube or our socials, it looks the same. So it's the same spot. I like it.
Yeah, it looks really good. It looks really sharp. And really also a key thing is we're looking at it on desktop now, that for mobile users, it's very easy to use. When you're on your mobile phone, I sound so old without your cell phone.
Your mobile phone.
You swipe it. Thank you. You swipe across, and it's easy. As opposed to here, if you look you see the main stories. You click on this button here. And I know that some of these are from a few days ago, but again, NBA is on the All-Star break. But we have college basketball tonight, the San Diego State, Boise State, Villanova, UConn, Michigan State, Iowa, soccer, UEFA, golf, some of our commercial content as well. And then it's broken up here, sports, NBA, soccer, college basketball, UFC. And on the top here, here's what's really cool, Stephanie. We didn't have this before. Let's, for instance, take a look at these scores. Michigan State, Iowa. Click on this for tonight, and look what you have here. You have all the odds from every legal sports book there in the middle. I tried to make this big enough, but if I blow it up, then it may be a little too big.
It's just so nice to see it in one place. I hate jumping around book to book.
Yeah, and it looks good. It's not just like listed there. You have the logos there, so you know who's who.
Yeah.
And you're in New York, so you have DraftKings. You have BetMGM, so you have some of those at your disposal, and also depending on where everyone lives, you have that. Line movements, last 10 head-to-head matchups, Michigan State's last 10 games, Iowa's last 10 games, and then the schedule for college basketball. And click on picks here. You can see who has picks on tonight's game, our handicappers. And you see it's in bold, Michigan State, Iowa.
Yeah, I'm checking out the mobile version, and I like that you just scroll down, you see the media center, so you can go straight to the show from here. I like seeing like the trends of the day. Like it's kind of like your news, like when you jump into like your local news and see what's new that day. It's the same thing, but all in the betting world. It's just in one place.
And like Stephanie said, if you scroll down, we're back on the homepage now. If you scroll down for matchup of the day, and then the media center here in the middle. And the cool thing is, I don't want to mess anything up with the show with the volume. If you press play on here, you'll see the show live as it's going. So it's pretty cool, right? You hear it? So you hear the echo in the background?
I'm calling in to our own show.
Right? Stephanie in New York. Go ahead.
One of these days, I should just prank call you on the show.
You need to just like come in.
So now you know it might be me, but hey.
But it looks good. I'm looking at it on my laptop here because I have a different computer. So I'm looking at it here and it's just rolling along. So if you're, you don't have what we had before was on the old site. If you looked at our video, for instance, you clicked on it, it would send you to YouTube. Now you click the play button on here, you watch it right through here on the site. You don't have to leave the site, which is cool.
Because like a lot of times I like a lot of people just listen to stuff as they're doing work and things like that. It's nice to have that audio on the page you're looking at.
Yeah, so you don't have to look at us. You can just listen and scroll around. Now, obviously, if you leave this page, then you'll lose it. But still, at least you're right. You have the audio in the background, and you can go here too, Stephanie, on the top where it says media.
Yeah.
Click here. We have the Daily Insider. We have the Great Day Nation. We have our UFC stuff from Adam Lycosine, and also social media. Here, click in the middle. And Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. So, and we're going to have some more of your stuff probably on there as well.
Yeah, that's where the bulk of my stuff lives. And like sometimes we'll put it onto the site as well, like the week looking ahead. But like, even if you want a breakdown, like we have a breakdown of everything that's new. So if you've been with us before, like we have like what you can look, and if there's something you want, you can even send it in and say, hey, I want this on the site. This would make this much easier. Like it's very involved. Like a lot of people on the site can be a part of the remodel too, which is really nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, this thing looks good. So we have it up here. And also for people that are wondering about buying picks, go up here. This little separator here is pretty important. This little line up here, because you go through the sports on the left here. You see all the sports and more sports here. If you're into boxing, auto, horses, golf, stuff like that. Here are the odds. You click on the odds here, and there's your breakdown of everything, of all the sports. Now, picks. This is important if you want to buy picks from our handicappers. If you were looking for it, you weren't sure. What's cool in the top here, Stephanie, is you see all the handicappers, and there's a number next to them. Those numbers represent the amount of picks that they have today. So Alex Smart, who we have on the show a lot, we'll click on him, 3 picks, and you'll see him here. And right in the middle, 3 college basketball, right there. So, and you could buy his selections there. And there's the 7-day and 30-day packages. But here's the key, though. They are auto-renewable. So if you buy the package for 7 days, it will renew the next week unless you cancel it. So you have to make sure that if you buy the 7-day package from any handicapper or 30 days, that if you are not satisfied or you want to move on or whatever the case is, that you cancel or you'll be charged again for the next week. So just letting everyone know that.
Read the fine print.
Yeah, and you know what it is, and it kind of may follow like the Netflix model or these other streaming services that you just kind of keep going and you don't really think about it, but just in case you're like, whoa, I didn't ask for another week, but so you gotta.
Even if you're watching Daily Insider regularly, those guys come on often. So if you listen to them on this show, you can decide, hey, that's one person I want to buy their picks. So yeah, you can see a lot of their stuff on a lot of our different media spots.
And the other thing too is, Stephanie, which is a new thing that we have. Let's say we'll go back to Alex Smart for a second. We'll click on him. $29.95. Now look, it says here. Hold on, I have to make this bigger a little bit. Hang on, give me 1 second, just so people can see it. All right, there we go. All right, gets a little better. Okay. It says package insurance for $10. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. I'm pointing at my own screen. Let me use the arrow.
And I'm looking at it on mobile.
So you the package insurance, if you click on this, you'll see a $10 charge. But here's what the difference is. This basically ensures you that if the handicapper does not have a winning night, that Alex has 3 picks. If Alex goes 1-2 or 0-3 and you buy the insurance, you get a credit for the picks that day, and you have 7 days to use that credit for another handicapper. Now, if they win, then the insurance it's a winner. So you should be satisfied. But if it loses, and also here, how about this? If you have 2 picks, you go 1-1. Technically, you're still a loser. You go -10 on the units. That it still technically counts as a loss in a sense because you didn't profit. So if you buy the insurance, you then get 7 days as a credit to use it for another handicapper.
When is there ever insurance in betting?
Never.
Like,
this is it.
This is a new thing. I've never seen basically betting insurance. So look at us.
Well,
We're
because
pioneers here.
well, we used to have, here's the thing too, Stephanie, is we used to have the guaranteed picks that now we don't have anymore. The guaranteed picks, for those of you that don't remember, I'll tell you now. You would, if you bought, it was one selection, let's say it was for NFL $49.95, and you took, let's say you took the Chiefs against the Bengals. If you took the Chiefs and it was a guaranteed pick and it was a loser, you didn't have to pay for it. So you just never got charged for it. So in a sense, it's about like you lost your bet, but also you didn't pay for the pick. So on this one, yes, you're paying for the pick, but also it's basically saying here, if you get the insurance, we're saying, all right, you're going to be a winner tonight. If you don't win, then you still get another 7 days to choose one package of the equal price for someone else, or even the same handicapper. Doesn't mean you have to go to another one. If you want to go to that person the next day, that's fine too. But you have your choice of anybody for the next 7 days.
Yeah, that's nice. So it's kind of like it's like finding the right doctor or anything. Like you just keep going till you find one that fits.
Yeah, and it's so that's kind of the different things we have with the handicappers, and you see here, like college basketball. There's only the college basketball picks. If you want NHL, here are the NHL picks for tonight. So you can separate them or go all sports. And if somebody you like and you want, one second. Click on this. There we go. If you want, like Ben Burns, he has college basketball and NHL for tonight. And they're separate picks, but the all access, though, gets you all of their picks. Like Ben Burns, you get all of his picks for 7 days. But there's no insurance on the packages, on the 7-day or 30-day packages. So just as an FYI.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a good way to try different ones out. It's a unique way to feel out which handicapper you vibe with.
Now, also, just as a little FYI, I know that the sports are limited now. There's no NBA until Thursday, but here, if you go back to the homepage, college basketball, you see this little button here. Click here. Go to NHL and you see the NHL games. So you could flip to that. And then NBA will be starting Thursday because that's when it returns. So you have the option of changing this out. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I may be speaking out of place here, Stephanie, but I'll say it anyway. Down here, our matchup of the day, which changes every day, Villanova, Connecticut is the matchup of the day here. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that if this changes as far as the sport. Like if this is NBA, if this is Thursday and whoever's playing the NBA Thursday, if this defaults to NBA or it just now defaults to college basketball. So that I'm not sure about that. I just threw out there for no reason, but just want to say it. So I don't think you can make anything a default. That's
yeah. But the way the timing of this coming out also is great for March Madness. Like feel out these handicappers, and so then you can choose the one you want when it comes to March Madness with all those games. Look what packages are your best option for that.
And so you look here,
great timing.
Yeah, it's really good because now you have and even college basketball. Let me make this a little smaller. All right. So college basketball here, we're at the college basketball page. You see some of the game previews here. And then a bracketology update from Bruce Marshall, like here, just for instance. So, I mean, it look like the setup is pretty much the same. It's not crazy. This isn't a different language.
I like how simple it is. Like there's not too much stuff going on when you're looking at the odds and the analysis. I like it that setup.
Yeah, it looks good. And it's a little cleaner and a little more updated. And you look up here, future markets for college basketball, and you see, again, it's organized with all the sports books and the yellow, best odds. So if you want to find the best odds if you have all those choices of sports books wherever you live, Gonzaga, for instance, you get them at plus 450 at Caesars as opposed to 4-1 in a lot of places. But then Kentucky, pretty much consensus everywhere. Purdue, Auburn, a consensus everywhere. So just to show you here, you have all the choices of who can win the college basketball, who can win the Final Four.
Well, it's also nice, like, because I like to use the same book because I just keep rebetting that my winnings, So
Yeah.
it's all in one book, and that way you can at least look at what are the best bets within that book even. Like if it's one game, you can look at which book has the best odds, but then you can just go into like and jump back between games and see, all right, that one book that I have all this money in, like what's my best option within that book even.
And you see, like, even the handicapper hot streaks here on the right, you click on them, you see who's done well in these sports. And again, Wooden Award, March Madness Betting Central. So you have all of that with college basketball, and then even the NBA. Our win total update. So we see, the Cavaliers have already
Mhm.
hit their win total. They've already nailed it. And a couple other teams, Memphis is on the goal line. They need one win in the second half, and Chicago's almost up there. But you see here with the NBA, obviously more people are going to jump on this once the season returns coming up on Thursday. But even here, college football, Stephanie, it looks
Yeah.
different just because we don't have any previews now. There's no games. So that's why it looks a little simpler here as opposed to the other pages that have, like, let's go back to NBA for a second, that have this up here. College football kind of skips down because there's no games going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the same with NFL. Well, the NFL, we have some stuff with with Super Bowl, some other things, but for the most part, you understand the point.
Yep. Yep. I like it. I like it. I mean, because there's a lot of places you can go, but I mean, this is just simple. You can talk to all of us on like our various shows. There's so many different ways to get a feel for our various handicappers. Like there's so many different ways to try out new options and things like that on this site.
And also, too, a couple other things, and then we'll talk some sports coming up in just a minute. Look at some of the bonuses from the different sports books that are all organized up there,
Mhm.
different states. I mean, Stephanie, you're in New York,
Yeah.
so you see here, different offers and things like that. So that's all there for everyone in those states. We told you about the media, the sports books, if you're in Canada, and then even the resources is kind of cool for, maybe if you're new to sports betting, parlay calculator, glossary, some TV listings, the Oscars, that's coming out, in a few weeks. So we're pretty much, everything is still, the house is still the same. It's just some things are a little, updated and
Have
moved
you
to
ever
different places.
noticed now how you pointed out the hot streak? Yeah, because you're 5-0 in the last 2 days. We had to point that out.
We don't want to jinx it. We don't want to say anything because I know what happens always with me is that I go 5-0, and then it's
We
like,
just
oh,
breezed right
hey,
on by that. Why?
and then you come out the next night. Oh, I got 4 picks. You go 4. It's like, well, you dummy. You were 5-0. What happened? But I will
Oh,
say, I will admit this though. I will admit that last night I went 2-0. One was, they're both totals in college basketball. One good. The other one was no shot. Fouls, threes. Worked out well.
and you got it. Which game was
Yeah.
it?
That was the North. It was on ESPN. You didn't see it. Northern Colorado and
Right
Iowa
up
or
front in
Idaho
town.
State out of the Big Sky. Ton of points in the end. A lot of free throws. Northern Colorado hit a ton of free throws down the stretch, so that was good. But
What's the
hey,
longest you've gone on a hot streak? Undefeated, like straight.
undefeated.
Are we approaching a record here?
No, I would say maybe like seriously like 9 in a row. I have to look back. I've gone on like 15-1 streaks or 15-2 streaks, but just straight up
That's
not lose it.
that's so good.
Like maybe 9. Like anybody says 20, like no, I haven't done like 20, but like 9 or I have to look back through the years, but something
We
like
need
that.
to have that. We need to have like a record, like as we have handicapper hot streaks, most popular stories. We need to have a record holder.
I'm telling you, it's
You know what I mean? Like we can set it now. I mean, we probably have it somewhere, but like, hey, Kevin's the one to beat right now. 5-0.
for now. I'm the one, but oh, so that's the new site. Check it out. It's still here. We're here. That's it. It's fine. So we're very excited about this. In all seriousness, we are very excited about it.
It's been like the talk of the town with Vegas Insider in Florida. Like we've been talking about it. Like our corporate has been talking about this new launch. It's been a very long time coming. A lot of people at our parent company have put in a lot of dedication to it. So it was a big project. It was a big undertaking, but we got it done.
We're done for now. Now we just got to keep it rolling. So
wait till the next update.
That's good. Yeah, let's wait a little bit.
In media, you can never keep up with the trends, apparently.
Yeah, no, we're good for now. You know, they always say that the only constant is change, and we don't. So we need a little break from it. So we're going to
scientific. Is that like the sign? What's the scientific method? Is that it?
It's I don't know. It's something
MC squared.
I don't know. Let's talk a little bit of sports, Stephanie. What did you think about this thing? This Juwan Howard, Michigan, Wisconsin situation on Sunday.
Have you ever seen a coach throw a punch after?
Yeah, well, let's correct ourselves. It was more like a slap, and I'm not trying to take.
Okay. You know what I mean? There's different sides on this, but I don't know if there's any you're the coach. You're the example. I get it. Like words are exchanged. It gets heated at sports, but I mean, the game is concluded. There's never a reason to throw. What do you call it? Like an open-handed, like
look,
physical altercation.
I'll tell you this: Juwan Howard is 100% wrong, but Greg Gard, the head coach of Wisconsin, he's not innocent in this whole thing either.
But he didn't do anything that we haven't seen before. That was the thing. Like, yes, people get heated. Like we see coaches get that way, like to refs even. Like they get very heated. But it was especially in the college environment. Well, I mean, in the pros, like be a professional, but in college, like you're trying to be like a teaching tool to their athletes. It wasn't good on either side, but I just don't think that Gard did anything that we haven't seen.
I know, and he was trying to, I don't know, both guys should have walked away or at least found a way to be somewhat civil. I don't agree with the whole stop the handshake lines. We can't do that over this. Just be civil.
Always do the handshake. Like that's one of my favorite things about sports is like, win or lose, it is a game. It is their job. I get all that, but like, come on, it was a game. Like you guys clearly are the seated because you care. Like I think that the biggest thing you can do is respect someone when you disagree. And I just didn't think that there was a whole lot of respect going either way.
No, and look, Juwan Howard had an issue with Mark Turgeon from Maryland last year, so we know Juwan's and look, Juwan played in the NBA. He played for the Fab Five, and this guy. He's been around. I mean, he's not a nobody. Yeah. But look, also it has to do with Michigan struggling. Like this isn't
and
about.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, and he's like they were close to the Final Four, and now they may not make the tournament. Yeah, they're going to be annoyed, and that's what I kind of feel like at this point that it's more of that as opposed to anything that happened in the game. You wouldn't be that upset over that.
Really a bullying point. Yeah, it was probably like a bowling point.
Yeah.
I did think about like the Urban Meyer kicking the kicker thing. Like I kind of related to that. Like it happens when things are going bad. Like if they're winning, things are just so much easier when you're winning. It's there's a lot of tension and there's a lot of frustration. Like there's no one person at fault ever. Like it's usually a combined effort, but like when things aren't going right, or if like, if you had a bad game, like, and you literally put so much into being perfect at your craft and you just don't play the way you want to, it is very frustrating. But for a coach, I just think it was just a bad example for a coach to do that. Cause like we've seen like for his players to hold him back, like that was just like a sight that I wouldn't expect to see on an NCAA court, like it's like those are everyone in that position. It's like such a privilege. It's such an honor to be at a D1 school in the Big Ten. Like Michigan is a profound like school to be at. And it was a little bit discrediting in a way.
Well, the other problem too is that now you've involved your players. That because
Yeah.
you've done this was between Juwan Howard and Greg Gard, between the two head coaches, and they were getting into it. And obviously, now it's like any kind of fight that something starts, and now these guys are getting into it with these guys. And again, I have no problem with Juwan Howard being suspended. He shouldn't be fired. If it was another player he hit, he'd definitely be fired.
Oh,
But another adult,
what do
it
you
was
think
wrong.
what would your thought be on it, or how would it be different if they had this altercation off the court, not around their athletes, like exchange these words and the hand slap, whatever it was. If they did this outside of, TV on a broadcast in front of their teams, how does that change it?
It would have been different just because, again, we're seeing this all after a game. It's in the middle of everything, and I mean, I don't know what kind of scenario it is. If it's, like years ago, that John Calipari, John Chaney thing in the press conference after the game when the two of them are yelling at each other and getting in each
Mm,
other's face. If it's something like that, then you would say, all right, I don't know if you got 5 games, but you caused like a
yeah.
melee. I
Yeah,
think
he
there's
got
these
the
players
biggest
playing
fine
each
that the
other.
Big Ten has ever seen yet at 40,000.
Yeah, it was.
So
It's bad. It
I
was.
don't. I would not want to be the one like, deciding the punishment. Like that'd be hard to do. But I think that it would still be something would have had to been done, even if it happened off of the court, because it's like whether like always behave in a way that someone's always watching. You know what I mean? Like there's just no reason to build hostility. I feel like. I mean, yeah, I mean, the people there was a lot of responsibility, but like just to escalate it to that point.
How great would it be if Juwan Howard, because I know we always read these PR statements, I disrespected, the University of Michigan, and I'm so sorry, and blah blah blah. That if he said, you know what, I'm really sorry, but Greg Gard, you're an asshole. I don't like you. I still don't like you.
I
I'm
don't
sorry to
think
my
he's a
players. I'm sorry to
realism.
my school, but Greg, I don't like you. And I'll see you at the Big Ten tournament.
It'd be fun for rivalry purposes. It'd be fun for like sports entertainment, but at the end of the day, like you can dislike someone, but you should never disrespect them. I
Yeah.
feel like uh I don't know.
They need to play in the Big Ten tournament. We have to make this happen. They have to play again. Because
Yeah.
remember, he's suspended for the regular season, and then when the Big Ten tournament comes, he'll be there. So
What
it's
punishment would you have chose? I don't want to have that responsibility, but
I think the 5 game. Look, 1 game is too few. You can't say 10. Like it's got to be. Unfortunately, nothing is ever even. Nothing
I
is
know. I
ever.
don't. Yeah.
I think the 5 works because I think they know deep down Michigan's not making a run. So if he doesn't coach, he doesn't coach. That they still set the example, but they're not losing anything.
Do you think he'll be on the hot seat next season then? Like if they don't do well, is it because like we've had this discussion with the coaching carousel that happened in the NFL. Like when you're winning, people tend to look the other way, like they basically really only care about winning. But if you aren't doing as well, how much will they tolerate? So do you think he'd be on the hot seat next season?
I think. Look, you have 2 coaches at Michigan. You have Jim Harbaugh, who was going to go to the NFL. He made it to the Final Four this year. They lost. That he still is fine, even though he was on the hot seat going into this season. But he beat Ohio State. He won the Big Ten. So he seems like he's all right. Juwan Howard, went to the Elite Eight with Michigan. He's done well with them. This has been a bad season. They had high expectations, and they've failed this year. But also, you can't do this again. We can't have any more incidents. Like next time you do this, you're done. But as far as keeping the program afloat, and you're in a tough conference. I mean, nobody's saying like the expectations are high, but you have a lot of tough teams in there.
Yeah.
I think that he's okay. I think that the athletic director, or the president, or whoever it is that they've had these conversations with Juwan Howard said, look, Juwan, you're big for this school. You're the Fab Five. You came on as coach, done a great job. You can't do this again. Like this, you got to control yourself. And as long, like next time, you're on strike 2 right now. You do this again, you're done. That's what I think. But as far as winning and losing, Michigan like the Michigan men. I think that's what they have.
If they go back to an Elite Eight, but an episode, maybe not as extensive as this, but you know, like those decisions, it's just there's a lot that goes into it, you know. So he's had success, and he's, you know, a figure at Michigan. So that's a tough call. That's a tough call, but I don't know. Like if he was winning, I wonder if the punishment would have been different. You know, if they were on a, you know, could have gone on a run to go deep into the tournament, would it have looked any different? You know,
right now Michigan is, where are they at the Big Ten? They're 8-7, 14-11 overall. I mean, Purdue, Wisconsin, Illinois, Ohio State, Rutgers, Michigan State, Iowa are all ahead of you. All you're tied with Iowa, but all these teams are ahead of you. I mean, there's some real trash in that conference right now. I mean, there's some really bad teams right now in that conference, but Michigan's in the middle, you know, and they had the expectations. Look, not to be Gonzaga, but going into the season, Gonzaga, Baylor, UCLA, Michigan was in that conversation, and you're 14-11. That's a poor job. It really is for a team like that with your expectations that high.
Yep. And you know, it is a tough conference, but yeah, I'm just curious to see how like next season transpires with, you know, or unless if they miraculously get on a tournament run, I mean, that would be, he could turn it around, but like when you think of all the things he's remembered for, this is in there for sure.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. But they've done it twice. That's the thing. You've done it twice already. It's one thing to be like, oh, you had one incident and you know, things didn't work out, but you've done it twice. And let me see something really fast.
What do you think? How do you think it changed the locker room? Like, if I saw my coach, you know, I don't know how to phrase it. Like, it wasn't a punch. I don't know what it was, but if I saw my coach do that, I don't know. Like, does it change your perspective of them? Like, what do you know?
No, I don't think so, because it's Jawan's got to say to his guys. Here's the thing: you may not come out in the press or the public and say this. Jawan has got to sit with his guys in the locker room and say, "Look, that was my fault, and you guys shouldn't have fought." Like, I'm not blaming you guys, but I set the example. That was my fault. And I can't do that again. I'm sorry. I let you guys down. Like, he says that behind the scenes. That's great. I know he's not going to come out and say that immediately after the game. But if you say something like that, then I'm like, okay, you took responsibility for it. Like, he needs to take the responsibility, not his players. He does. And he's to say, my bad. I screwed that one up. I made us look bad.
But like whenever, like if you have a manager who's on the hot seat with the higher ups type thing, like it does just create like a walking on glass type feeling. Like, you know, the person you're like reporting to or something is literally getting hovered on because they're on watch right now type thing, you know? So it changes the dynamic, but you know, I don't know the relationship he has with his team, but I mean, he did it for them. So
I know. And he was upset. And look, I'm looking back at his numbers now. 19-12 his first year, COVID. They were 10-10. So obviously they finished 9th in the Big Ten that year. I didn't realize that. 23-5 last year, 14-3 in the conference, Elite Eight. This year, 14-11, 8-7 in the conference. So really, one great year, two not so great years by Michigan standards. But we'll still got to give him time. Look, he's a Michigan man. And if the fans like him, if the administration likes him, Stephanie, I always say this. If you're going to fire someone, who do you have in mind? Who is it? If you have someone that's a viable person that's better than this, let me know. Otherwise, like you can't just get rid of someone to get rid of someone unless it's something terrible they did. And I don't think this is terrible. This is bad judgment, but I don't think this is a terrible thing.
Yeah. Like, what do you think this says of the athletic department at Michigan or the president at Michigan of, you know, when you have Jim Harbaugh, who wasn't as successful as they thought, but they held on to him for a while. And then, you know, this happens with basketball. You know, what can we take away from their handlement?
I mean, honestly, it's like Harbaugh's never really done anything wrong. It's just that
Right.
he's kind of an odd personality, number one. I think we all see that. He's a little out there. He's a smart guy, but he's a little bit out there.
Guys from Michigan too. Like,
yeah, he played there, so there's got to be
dad
something.
coach there.
Look, the thing with Harbaugh is he's had Michigan good, just not dominating. Like you could throw out the year of the pandemic in 2020. Like that's just unfair for everyone. So that's why I say nobody can be held to that standard. And I just like that. I can't like him.
Rival 0-5, like
it was bad. But then again, you say to yourself, who was the better team in those years? If Michigan was the better team than Ohio State and lost every time, you say, all right, that's a problem. But
Michigan
if Ohio State
too, Michigan, I mean, and that game, like it's always, it gets close, like it's the toughest game they play up to that, like throughout the regular season, always. Like it's, it's engraved in their blood. Like this is the game. So now we're talking about football, but
I just think that I think Juwan Howard's fine again as long as he doesn't have anything like this happen again.
Yeah,
I think that's the key. Now, I guess we'll transition to basketball now. And last night, among the action in college basketball, if you had the under in this game, we apologize because this game was 63-63 going to overtime on a 135.5 total. You get 23 in overtime and it goes over. So that's not good. But Ohio State also gets the front door covered overtime. Laying 7, you win by 11 in overtime. That's a terrible feeling if you had Indiana and you had the under in that game last night.
Overcome a 4-point deficit in the final minute. I mean, and Chris Holtman, like he said after the game, this was an emotional one. He's got a lot of respect for Mike Woodson. And he talked about the leadership of his team. So, I mean, this is a good opposite transition from Michigan is that like the locker room is going really well, and it translates onto the court. Like he talks so highly about the captains, his leadership, and he credited that to how they prevailed, through the end of that stretch. So I think it was an exciting one, but it was a very high emotions during the end of it too.
Well, Ohio State has not lost back-to-back games this year.
Yeah.
So 7-0 off a loss because they lost to Iowa at home. So that's good news, taking them when they're off of a loss.
That's a really good feeling because you never want to get into a rut. Like after you lose 2, 3, like when you go on like a losing streak, it gets you down. Like it's like a mental game at that point where just, get your head in the game because it's hard to get from a losing streak out of it. To be able to bounce back so quickly all season long. That's really impressive.
So they get Illinois on the road coming up on Thursday. And then after that, got a couple cupcakes at Maryland and Nebraska. And then Michigan State at home. And then Michigan at home to close it out for the Big Ten tournament. So Juwan Howard will not be coaching that game.
That would have been such a good one.
But look, and again, like I told you the standings before, and it's going to be close coming down the stretch. And again, like, does it matter really in the Big Ten tournament if you're the 1 or the 2 seed? And there's no home court advantage, so it really shouldn't make that big of a difference. I mean, right now, Ohio State is the 4 seed if it started now, but you got good teams ahead of you. And but Ohio State's a good team as well. I mean, even Rutgers in that mix too.
Yeah.
Here's why I wonder though, Stephanie. One of the games tonight, Michigan State and Iowa. And they meet up. Michigan State's 9-6 in the conference. Iowa's 8-7. So obviously a big one there. Iowa laying 5.5, and Michigan State, they've dropped 4 of 5. They lost at home to Illinois. They got upset by Penn State. They got upset by Rutgers. They they lost at home to Wisconsin. So it's been a bit of a tough stretch for Izzo, and
especially the worst time of the year too, to start sliding down in the Big Ten now. It's tough.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad for them, and their schedule too.
And they like it happened. I mean, they got into they dropped out so quickly last year. It wrecked my bracket. The Big Ten did, but yeah, it's like at this point in the season, things are going wrong, and this is like the worst time for it to happen.
Here's my only issue with Iowa. This is who they've beaten recently. Now, they won at Ohio State. I'm not saying that one. But before that, they beat Nebraska, Maryland, Minnesota, Penn State, Minnesota, Indiana, Maryland. Like, they beat up on a lot of bad teams in the Big Ten before. Ohio State is their first quality win in the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So Iowa has been a bit of a they're losing to teams that, I mean, shoot, they've even lost to Penn State. They've lost to Rutgers. They've lost to Wisconsin. So Iowa, they're going to get in, but they need some signature wins moving forward, going down the stretch.
You look at, like, you translate to football too. Like, Iowa was looking hot and then kind of dipped off once Michigan took over. But no, yeah, Iowa, they've won 4 of their last 5, like you said, including the win over Ohio State. Really good offense. I think if they'll test Michigan State, what's your pick in this game?
Pass. Seriously.
Really?
I mean, I would say maybe Michigan State. I take the points with them just because they're coming off a couple of not so great home performances, and I just can't lay the 5.5.
I don't want the total. Oh, I don't want to touch the total.
No, this is a stay away game for me.
Yeah.
Let's look at 2 more games. Arkansas and Florida in Gainesville. Florida off the Auburn win. Now let's see what they do against Arkansas. Arkansas, who was awful out of the gate in the SEC, and they've been tremendous ever since. The only loss came at Alabama by 1. Arkansas has covered 8 consecutive games. Florida, who, again, they're going to play well at home, off the win over Auburn. I mean, some of the other teams they've beaten at home, not great. Georgia, Ole Miss. But now we'll see what they do against this Arkansas team off a win over Tennessee. They beat Auburn at home as well when they rushed the court. I just don't know if Florida can follow this up. That's what I'm really concerned about after they beat Auburn.
Yeah, I wouldn't take Florida. Yeah, I mean, and so that big win over Arkansas was pretty massive. I mean,
Auburn.
Yeah, for Arkansas,
yeah.
Or Auburn, yeah.
Yeah.
This is one I'd stay away from. Are you taking one on here?
No, I'm not. I honestly, none of these games I'm taking. Like, I would look at Arkansas over Florida just because I don't know if the Gators can do it again.
Yeah.
So that's my concern with that game. Arkansas is a really good team, and Eric Musselman's a good coach. Yeah, they just got off to a tough. They had you talk about like ruts and stuff.
Maybe the under. I mean, they're pretty good defensively, both of these teams.
Yeah, I mean, Florida doesn't light it up, but Arkansas had some struggles like in late December. They struggled at a good time. If you're going to struggle in late December.
Yeah.
Early January. And that's kind of what they
figure it out then.
Yeah. Now, the last game we'll look at in the Big East, Villanova and UConn. Villanova, they're rolling along 21-6. UConn is 19-7. And Villanova's won 9 of 10. They lost to Marquette during that stretch. UConn has won 3 in a row, so they played pretty well. Last time they played, back on February 5th, Villanova won at home 85-74. So that total is 128.5. This total is 138.5. So that, I mean, I could look at maybe an under in this game. I don't love the sides. You don't get Villanova as a dog that often, but I would maybe lean under.
I do not like this spread here at all.
Yeah, you don't get Villanova as a dog, and especially in Big East play, you don't normally see that. But
I could just really see this one going either way.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, it's a revenge spot for UConn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, if I'm going to place a bet tonight, I would take the Penn State Maryland game. Again, staying away from a spread bet. I like the under there, just because Penn State's so slow. Maryland, I think Maryland is. Would you take the spread on this one?
It was yesterday.
Penn State and Maryland.
Yeah, Penn State. Yeah, Maryland beat them yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, I have my notes up from yesterday. I didn't bet it, but I was looking at that one.
Yeah.
But there is nothing I like today.
That's fine. So you pass. That's fine. There's plenty of games, but Nebraska Northwestern. That's a gross one. Northwestern's laying 11 in that one. I'd say Pat. Yeah, don't even touch that game.
So what do you have anything tonight?
Yeah, I'll give you one free pick. I'll give you one free pick. I'll tell you who I like tonight. I'm gonna give you Oklahoma against Texas Tech, just because. And Texas Tech is laying 10 in Lubbock. Now Texas Tech is off a couple good wins. They are 21-6. They're playing well. They beat Baylor at home. They won at Texas in the Chris Beard revenge game on Saturday. Now, the last time Texas Tech lost came at Oklahoma back on February 9th. They were laying 2.5. They lost 70-55. Now, Oklahoma's had a tough season, but at the same time, lost at home to Texas in overtime, lost twice to Kansas in close games. They just got blown out by Iowa State on Saturday. Now you're getting 10 against a team you just beat a little while ago. You got some confidence against them. That's the one I do like as far as a side tonight. Oklahoma taking them against Texas Tech.
Do you think there'll be any drama on the court side broadcast?
None.
I mean, I feel bad that that's what's making the news, but it's kind of funny.
Who is that?
Did you see the at the Texas Tech game?
You mean the Patrick Mahomes thing?
Yeah, they're grilling him. I feel bad.
You know what the thing about Patrick Mahomes is really quickly on him, that I feel like it's everyone else. It's not him. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a quiet guy. He's trying to do his stuff. And then it's like his wife and his brother are always like getting in the news. And he's like, get away from me. Like, I just want to like sit here. I should be left alone. But you do wonder what that conversation was, because anytime you see someone with like an arm around a girl and then all of a sudden like they pull their arm for no reason, not to like have like a drink or eat something, just for no reason, you're like, oh,
did
something
you know happened. The camera was on him? Because he told what was like going around on Twitter was that he told his fiance no resting bitch face. So it's like maybe he knew the camera was coming. I don't know.
Oh, how do you know? Like, you're sitting there. I don't know, like, how you would know that sitting there.
I mean, like, is the camera person's up there, you know?
Even that
I've done basketball sideline, and I see the same people on the court side all the time. So they know when there's a camera coming. I mean, it didn't look like it was like a close-up one, though. It was probably from higher up, but
I feel like something was said. Something was said between the two of them, and then she got probably annoyed, or maybe I don't know. And it could have been something as simple as who knows what. And then she said something, and he's like, just leave me alone. And then she just,
but like, in like relationships, like you probably see that, you know what I mean? But it's just, I do think it's unfair that they're putting this on their relationship so much. Like, she's really under attack, it seems. So I do feel bad, but
you're a star. That's what, and that's what sucks, is that you're a star, and every little thing.
I know.
I mean, look at the Aaron Rodgers stuff. Like, Aaron Rodgers, he breaks up with his fiance. And it's kind of like, okay, what does that have to do with the NFL? Like, it's just, we're bringing all the personal stuff in, and that's kind of, unfortunately, what we get into with the.
Yeah. Oh, well, actually, speaking of Rodgers, he's probably approaching announcement soon. It's Tuesday. We could be hearing something soon.
I said, yeah, he did what on his Instagram? He said he talked about
McAfee show on Tuesdays. Sounds like he promised them the announcement. I talked to a Packers reporter last week. He's getting the sense that Rodgers is going to stay. Davante Adams will stay. And Davante would get the franchise tag and all of that. But there's a lot of quarterback openings. They're well over cap space. So if you really want to have a say in who's going to be around you on the field, like, there's not a lot of cap space for it. I mean, a lot of guys are on the chopping block because of that.
Yeah, I really like Aaron Rodgers is such a mystery. Like, I just don't know what's going through his head. Like, if he knows if he's going to go somewhere else, if he's going to retire, or
I don't think he's going to retire. I feel like that's kind of out.
Because he doesn't want to finish like that. Like Tom Brady finishing the way he did, so what? Okay, fine, you move on. Like he won a championship last season. It's fine. He had a great comeback against the Rams. They ended up losing. I think
where would he? I mean, if you win a Super Bowl now, like where would you go? You know,
you're talking about your Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, like what's the most appealing option? Because he's older, and there's a lot of great young quarterbacks coming up, so it's like it's do or die right now.
I don't know what his relationship is with
the Packers moved over.
Who was his guy in Denver? I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, that was the option. Him and Devontae, I thought, if he was going to go anywhere. And I asked that reporter if the two of them would be together regardless next season, and they responded with telling me it looks like they're staying. At least Devontae is. It sounded like he's getting franchise tagged and all of that.
Well, the only good news is you stay in Green Bay, you're going to win your division. Like, you know that for a fact. If you went to Denver, you got to deal with the Chiefs now. You got to deal with Herbert and the Chargers. The Raiders are still decent, at least competitive. So that's the issue if you go to Denver. And then, of course, you know, all the other teams in the AFC, where I feel like in the NFC, with Brady gone now, the Saints don't have a quarterback situation. You look at a lot of these, there's a lot of weaknesses in the NFC as opposed to the AFC. You know, you're better off in that conference. The only other one, which is, well, no, I would have thrown out, like, even, I know he's pissed at them probably still after all these years. Even if you said San Francisco, you said, okay, you go to the Niners because he's from the Bay Area, or he went to college.
And Shanahan's offense?
But you have Trey Lance. That's the problem, is they gave up all that for Trey Lance. So I don't know if they would.
But here's another thing that stood out was that the Packers get Tom Clements to come out of retirement. And Aaron Rodgers has so much respect for him, speaks so highly of him. Tom Clements didn't come out of retirement for Jordan Love. You know?
I know. It's a very mysterious situation.
Yeah. Like, I think it's coming today because he knows that he's the first domino to fall with how they're going to handle this cap space. So,
do you know who another team too is? I feel like no one's talked about that, and I don't know how appealing the situation is, but you probably have a shot to win there is Washington. I feel like no one's talked about the Chase
Young rumors.
That who?
There's been rumors of Chase Young being traded to get a franchise quarterback.
I mean, he's coming off the ACL tear, so I wonder. I mean, he still should be fine. He's still pretty young.
Do you really think Derek Carr will leave Las Vegas?
I don't know what their options. I mean, the problem is they have no other options. You know, who are you bringing in to be the quarterback of that team? And see, Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He's just not great. And again, in that division, alongside Mahomes and Herbert, and then you look at the other quarterbacks in the AFC, the young quarterbacks, like Carr is now like getting up there in age, that he's not the young guy anymore.
But he was like on an MVP run at the start of the season.
He was a few years. And you know what the funny thing is? But that was like 4 or 5 years ago now.
No, this season. He was like the MVP favorite, like for the first like four weeks.
Yeah, he played well early.
And then, but also like they won with a lot of chaos going on over there. But it's also a year where there's not many, even any quarterback options in the draft. You just had 5 first rounders go last year. So it's like, it's a really tough time to be looking for a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, look, Derek Carr had a career year as far as passing. He had nearly 5,000 yards. Yes, he had a very good year, but again, behind the likes of Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and some of these other guys and what they did this season. I mean, what Cooper Kupp did, Jonathan Taylor had a great season with the Colts, but yeah, I mean, this is what the NFL has turned into, that where these quarterbacks go now shifts the entire, like Matthew Stafford gets traded from the Lions to the Rams. And you see that he's the guy that can push over the top. And he was a Super Bowl. So it's, yeah, I mean, you never know where some of these guys, I mean, like no one knew Peyton Manning would go to the Broncos. You know, no one thought Tom Brady was going to the Buccaneers. So if Aaron Rodgers makes a move or if they trade him, then we could be surprised, like, oh, I didn't realize you go here, but
we did learn, like, at least in the past 2 Super Bowls, like pay to play, pay the guys, get all the studs and go to the Super Bowl because then the Bengals get in like in a rebuild year, so that, but the past 2 seasons we've seen teams go all out and get the big names and then they win. So I have to think that Aaron Rodgers thinks about that when he's deciding. And currently his team is, I think, like 51 million over cap.
Yeah, and again, here's my thing: that do you leave the situation where Green Bay is in a division with Detroit, who's not good, Chicago's not good, Minnesota is underachieved, they have a new coach coming this season. Like that, do you want to leave?
It's not the regular season that's his issue.
No, I know it isn't, but I'm saying that you still, you have a path to the playoffs already with Green Bay. If you go to Denver or you go in the AFC somewhere, there's work to do. Like you're not guaranteed to be he's guaranteed to be in the playoffs. Now, he's not guaranteed to win in the playoffs, but he's guaranteed to be in the playoffs. And that's where I think some of the other situations, if you went to Washington, you're in a division now where you probably have a chance to win it. You do, even with Dallas there. Then all of a sudden you have a quarterback with that Washington team. But go to the AFC and some of these other teams, it's tough.
And what happens to Jordan Love?
He better hope if Aaron leaves.
That was another question I asked was, especially if Devontae and Aaron Rodgers leave, are the Packers pushed into a rebuild year? That Tom Clements hire I felt it was very telling that Aaron's leaning towards staying. And it sounded like Devontae's pretty much staying, franchise tag, all of that. But yeah, I don't know what they do with Jordan Love. It sounded like they'll keep him around, develop under Aaron Rodgers, just like the Brett Favre developing Aaron Rodgers. I don't know, but I think some teams might have interest in him.
I mean, I would say for the Packers, you got to give him a shot. What, he played 1 game last year against the Chiefs because Aaron Rodgers tested positive. Like it's not like Jordan Love came in through merit. He came in because they didn't have a choice, and he goes to a very tough environment in Kansas City in his first game. I mean, I don't know what he is. I think if Aaron Rodgers is gone, you got to test it and see what you got with Jordan Love and see if he's the real deal or not.
So do you think he's staying?
I mean, would Aaron Rodgers stay or Jordan Love?
I think Jordan Love's staying.
I would say he's staying too. Like, where else are you going?
But teams need a quarterback and Packers need cap space. So I don't know. That is a tough one, but I feel like the Packers would hold on to him. I don't think they'd get rid of him unless someone makes a big trade for him. And someone could. I mean, they need quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And the draft is not the place to find one this year.
I'm not trying to circle back to this, but somebody had on Twitter, I was just looking at it. They showed the Michigan-Wisconsin thing again. And I was just looking, Greg Gard was shaking everyone's hand on Michigan. Everything was fine. And he comes to Juwan and the whole thing just freaking busts loose again. I'm just watching it again. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, you should just be civil.
I'm surprised I haven't seen like more funny memes about it yet.
I know, right? Like it's all just like serious and it's not, God.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how the next season goes, but I think you're right. I think that Michigan he's got such strong ties there. So
yeah, he's not going anywhere unless something like this happens again. Something like this happens again, he's done. But otherwise, he's gonna be fine. I think when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
So, all right, Stephanie, thank you very much again today. And by the way, programming note. Thursday, I am not going to be on, but guess who's running the show? That's right.
And I got a good friend coming on. They confirmed. I'll wait to announce it, I guess.
Okay. No, it's fine. Once it's confirmed, but
it is confirmed, but maybe we'll make a splash.
That's fine. That's fine. So Stephanie's going to be hosting on Thursday and looking forward to that. And we'll have the NBA back on Thursday, finally. I feel like it's just a very long break with them. I mean,
it does feel dragged out. Like
it's been like 5 days, but you're kind of like.
I know. Like Like right when football ends, I'm just like, oh, now what? Like usually it's like I need a breather just because like this is my first year doing NFL and college at the same time, like league wide. Uh, so it was a really busy football season, but I just am addicted to football. So I'm like, I need it back. But then fortunately, March is like a few days away. So we got March Madness coming up.
We'll
So
be here, yeah. And then once we get the NBA back, we'll be nice and busy, and then the draft will come up in a few months, and we'll be all set. So we'll be good to go with that. So looking forward to all of it. So you can find Stephanie on Twitter at Steph Otey. You see it there on the screen. And thank you again for everyone supporting us with our shift now with Vegas Insider, the new design and all of that. So you could find us still same place, just different look, but still looks good. So we're excited about that. And we'll be back with you tomorrow at noon Eastern on the Daily Insider. And Steph, what do you have? Anything social media wise?
we're when we got one more day without NBA. Keep talking college hoops, but then once NBA gets back, we'll pick up more of that. Did you see my video from yesterday?
Yeah, the President's Day, presidential.
Madam President.
That's right, you are. So check out her video. You can find that
to the
on
White House. Had to do a little bit of press there, but
and the video is on TikTok.
It was on Twitter, Instagram, yeah, all of our platforms.
Good, Madam President. Good.
I got a few funny messages. One person said it was better than the All-Star game itself, so I was like, nice.
Well, I mean, the All-Star game, just for a moment, like it's just a waste of time. I love the NBA. It's just a waste. Like they're not doing anything. They're just out there.
The boys guys play it. Like, you know how it goes in football. Like no one wants to do these All-Stars anymore.
Because
like,
everyone
the NBA, they show up. I mean, like a lot of the MVPs showed up. There's 4 on LeBron's team. So it is curious. Like it's not as entertaining, but right. I'm curious why they still do it, because in the NFL, like, they don't really care for it anymore. But in the NBA, they still play.
I would just say NBA, just take a week off. Just no All-Star.
That's what I mean. Like an NBA season, it's not like a baseball season, but like you're playing a lot. Like you're not playing one game a week, and you're on the road. Like sometimes 10-game road or 10-day road trips. Like you would want a break at some point.
Yeah, and especially the other thing too is that guys like LeBron.
It was in his hometown, so I get that.
But they don't get a break, which is so funny about it. Everyone talks about it, get the All-Star, but like they really don't. They have to go.
Also talk about like resting the starters, like managing minutes and stuff like that. Like make sure they're not over. But then they do All-Stars, and it's like all offense, like just shootout.
Yeah, Steph hit 16 threes. It was crazy.
I think it was 16 of 27.
Yeah,
and he didn't get a 3-point contest.
He's over that. He's a 3-point contest every night. That's what. But
it's so funny because it was like Steph and LeBron the first time they did player selected teams, and then Steph's the one who basically won it for LeBron's team.
Hey, look, you get the
irony is kind of funny.
No, it was a great. It's good. But I'm happy. I'm happy that it's over with, and now we get back to the games and just
like I have had so many friends in town like the past week, and I'm like, let's go to a game. Oh, there's no games at the Garden, none. I'm like, this sucks. I'm sorry. There's no game to go to. Soon
they will all be back very, very soon. So
one more day, today and tomorrow.
Almost there. Almost there. Line. Stephanie, thank you, and looking forward to seeing you again on Thursday.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of NBA props coming, so stay tuned.
Good to go. So for Stephanie Otey, I'm Kevin Rogers. And again, you can find us on our YouTube channel at Vegas Insider. Don't forget to subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. And again, we'll talk to you tomorrow at noon. And as always, best of luck with your bets.